on them, and this disruption of medical supply chain, which has very pertinent in this during this pandemic. And if you see the economic aspect of this pandemic, um, I'm sorry, the slowing of the manufacturing of essential goods and disrupting supply chain of the products and loss of national and international business. This has immensely affected, and poor cash flows in the market, and also significant slowing down of the revenue growth. So these are all the economic problems the pandemic has created for us. And more so, socially and psychologically, it has affected very hugely on the society. And the pandemic, of course, is the first of its kind across the globe. However, the impact has been severe for those affected by the social stigma. And also, it has created greater multitudes of psychosocial problems because the people and the communities um, infected with COVID-19 are ostracized and labeled as corona family or diseased house, which is very painful. And stigmatized people reported of mental health concerns, loneliness, mental depression, general health concerns, and deprived of access to essential services. If you come to the role of ICMR, I am very happy to say that ICMR took the bull by horns because because of the dynamic Secretary General Professor Balram Bhargava we have. So he just took the bull by horns, and right from the day one, enormous efforts have been made. We were having some 10, 15 laboratories, testing laboratories. Now, within 3 to 4 months of time, that was elevated to 2,000 plus laboratories, which is a phenomenal. So establishing a laboratory is not a simple one. So and they're preparing the guidelines. Every time the guidelines being changed and guidelines being given to the ministry to disseminate to the country. And of course, novel claims like Ayush formulations, collaboration with the DBT, CSR, DST for the vaccine trials and vaccine inventions. And also we have the IKnowCap website application related to vaccine data on COVID-19 also it's been created. And also we are, ICMR has created biorepositories which are collecting, of course, the COVID-19 clinical samples and preserving them and different aspects. About 17 biorepositories have been created by ICMR. And of course, the COVID clinical registry, which is being maintained by the ICMR NIMS, is also a huge catch. We have almost entire country, we have 50 hospitals data where we are developing a national clinical COVID-19 repository where we collect the data regarding clinical treatment and laboratory testing and treatment, and also outcomes, whether the person joined in the hospital, whether he has discharged or died. That kind of data all over the country we have been collecting, and also we are following them after the recovery for a year. We have 11,000 such patients of clinical registry is going on, which is a huge task for the Ministry of Health as well as the Indian Council of Medical Research, more specifically to National Institute of Medical Statistics. So, and also ICMR is maintaining the chain of depots all over India to distribute the kits and all. So this is the enormous task the ICMR is doing it, and more so the topic also relates to this. I'm very happy, and I thank the organizers for coming up with such a very novel topic to discuss. And now I request my discussant, Professor Archana K. Rai, to take over. And I also request the speakers to be ready to present this. So the thumb up rule is that, or the rule game is like this. Each one will get 10 minutes. Please, I request them, please follow the timeline. And afterwards, after the presentations are over, we will have a sufficient discussion for at least half an hour with all the 5 presentations. Then I request Professor Archana, please take over, and Professor Archana ji.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. So what we will be doing, we will be going first for all the presentations. We will follow this serial number, and if there is some presenter is not there, so we will go to the next presenter first. So and after all presentations, I'll make some of my observations, and then it will be open for the discussion. So is it okay, sir, if you follow this thing?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay.
So please, we also request the presenters please stick to the time for 10 minutes.
10 minutes presentation, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so we can
Is it
start.
okay, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
And we'll
Fine.
give enough time for the discussion at the end.
Yeah, yeah. So we can start with
So
the
then we
first. Yes, sir.
Yeah, please, ma'am, please do that. So then we
Yeah,
can
so
request the
Lekha is
first
there.
presenter.
Madam, Lekha is with the ICT team,
Okay.
so he has technicals. So we can continue the next
So-
one. That is.
Okay, okay. So next presenter is Mr. Jitendra Yadav. It's on the mental health status and psychological impact of COVID-19 pandemic on frontline nurse during COVID-19 pandemic outbreak in India. So, sir, you can take over. Now you can regulate, right?
Ma'am, ma'am, please come again.
So Jitendra, yeah, Jitendra will be presenting.
Yeah. So now it is 2:12.
Jitendra.
Jitendra will present up to 2:22.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am. So, sir, there is some problem in a corner. Some disturbance coming in the slides. Can you remove? So. Hello.
Hello, hi, yes. What happened? You just click on,
Otherwise, okay.
just make a slideshow. Yes, just click on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Now it's okay. Just move your slide to the next.
Okay, sir. So
Just continue.
I am
Right
going.
now.
Okay, sir. So I am going to present my paper entitled Mental Health Status and Psychological Impact of COVID-19 Pandemic among Frontline Nurses during the COVID-19 pandemic in two states of India, namely Kerala and Maharashtra. Just one. So during my presentation, I will touch. During presentation, I will touch this point: introduction, objective, data, method, result, conclusion, and limitation of the study. So about COVID-19, the information is very high among all. So I am not going to read one by one introduction due to time constraints. So several studies have shown that nurses have a poor mental health outcome compared to other healthcare professionals like doctors and others. And in India, the mental health toll that COVID-19 nurses is hardly been studied. Among nurses, those who are directly involved in COVID-19 and those who are not involved in COVID-19 directly. So the current study assesses the psychological impact of COVID-19 in two states of India, namely Kerala and Maharashtra, among the nurses, those who are involved directly in COVID care and those who are not involved directly in the COVID care. So data collection using online survey from farm was conducted in Kerala and Maharashtra between 8 September 22 to October 31. So further this we have used sampling non-probability, and after that we also use snowballing sampling method to get some other nurses for the interview, those who are involved in the COVID-19 care. Online survey questionnaire were developed using a Google Form in three languages: English, Malayalam, and Marathi language. The sample included nursing working in public and private health facility in two states. So the main outcome was depression, anxiety, and stress. So depression, anxiety, stress were nurse measured using the depression, anxiety, stress scale short version. That's called the DAS-21. And the overall score of 3. So there are 21 scale. So we have used 777 for the 7 for the depression, 7 scale for the anxiety, and 7 scale for the state. So it is a standardized tool. And then for psychological impact, we have used the event scale revise, and it is a 22 item questionnaire, and it is also a standardized tools. So these are the cutoff for the normal, mild, moderate, and severe. So we have done data, did the for data analyze, descriptive, bivariate, chi-square test to know the significance among the variable in the categorical variable, and we have done a student t-test to see the significant effect among the continuous variable. And then we have done multivariable logistic regression to know the factor associated with the post-traumatic disorder. Then ethical consideration was taken before started the study by Believer Church Medical College, Kerala. And before starting the survey, informed consent was taken from the all participants. If they are agreed for the participation, then they will go for the further information. So for the result, we have divided in 4 parts: profile of respondent, prevalence of depression, anxiety, stress, and PTSD. And for both DAS and ICR, we have put mean score, and factor is the PTSD. So if you see that in the table, the nurses who among the sample, almost more than half of the from the very young age, 26 to 35, and among the gender, almost 90% sample was from the female. Among the education, almost more than almost 71% are from nursing diploma. And if you see the monthly income of nurses, so almost rupees 10,000 to between 10,000 and 20,000, almost half of the population was there. And almost 68% nurses was residing with their family at the time of survey. So prevalence of depression, anxiety, stress, and PTD. So PTD is a post-traumatic disorder. So here you can see in the table that those who are involved in COVID care during pandemic are reported a higher percentage of the depression, anxiety, stress, and also PTSD. Overall, but if you see in the Maharashtra, the picture was same. And also Kerala, the picture was same. Those who are involved, they have higher risk of depression, anxiety, and stress, and also PTSD. Here you can say post-traumatic stress disorder is among state comparison. So Maharashtra is reported a higher prevalence of almost 12%, that they have a severe problem of post-traumatic stress disorder as compared to Kerala's. We have also checked the mean score, and here I'm going in the table, and it's not there, but we also try to test the significance between the COVID involved and COVID not involved t-test among depression, anxiety, stress, and here also same picture is mean value is mean value is high. Those who are mean score is secure very high among nurses, those who are involved in COVID-19 care, as compared to nurses, those who are not involved in COVID care. So we have done some logistic regression to know the factor associated with the PTSD, because PTSD is directly associated with the occupational hazard. So nurses residing with family shows higher rates of PTSD as compared to those who are not residing with the family. Nurses working in public hospital showed higher rates of PTSD as compared to nurses, those who are working in the private hospital. As regards the state, nurses in Maharashtra reported had higher odds to get a PTSD as compared to nurses, those who are in the nurses from the Kerala. So what is already known about the topic? Poor mental health and anxiety disorder among nurses compared to other healthcare professionals and those with the most direct contact with COVID-19 pandemic. And the number of study of mental and psychological impact of COVID-19 pandemic among nurses in India already done by some others also. But in our study, we did the compare with the depression, anxiety, stress, and PTSD score among the nurses, in those who are engaged in the COVID-19 care, and also those who are not directly engaged in the COVID-19 care. So higher mean of depression, anxiety, stress, and PTSD score among nurses engaged in COVID-19 care compared to those who are not engaged in the COVID-19 care. Our study shows significant differences in psychological impact seen among the nurses working with COVID-19 patient directly in Kerala and Maharashtra, both the states. So now is a conclusion of our study. So significant mental hazard have been observed, especially among healthcare personnel during the COVID-19 pandemic. Our study conducted in Kerala and Maharashtra states, India, found that a higher prevalence of depression, anxiety, stress, and PTSD among the nurses engaged in COVID-19 care compared with those nurses who are not directly involved in the COVID-19 care. So while there are guidelines for the health worker mental health needs engaged in COVID-19 care in India, there is a need to establish regular screening for identify the adverse mental health and psychological problem, along with the provision of support mechanism of nurses engaged in COVID-19 care in order to manage their psychological well-being. So due to COVID-19 pandemic,
Yeah, please be quick. Your time is 3 minutes more.
okay, sir.
Just quickly glance through that.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I will finish it up, sir. So there are some limitation of the study, so I'm not going to read one by one because of the COVID-19, and we have not followed the very sampling method, probability sampling method. So we are not in the position to generalize the study of the population. But yes, the situation can Maharashtra and Kerala, because both states have reported higher COVID patient currently also. So the situation maybe is good for policy maker, but we are not in the position to generalize our result among the population because we have not followed the probability sampling for the sample. So there are some policy recommendations from our studies. So there is great need to policymaker and hospital leadership to ensure mitigating the psychological stress to the extent possible and ensure support of flexible work schedule, and also supply the insurance of family being supported is infected, especially for those nurses, those who are involved in the COVID care. So
Okay.
thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Jitendra, for a nice presentation. Thank you, Dr. Jitendra. We'll go to the next presenter. Who are available, please? Is
Yeah.
Dr.
Lekha
Lekha
is- yeah.
is
Yeah,
available,
I'm
please?
available. Yeah, I'm available.
Yeah, please, ma'am, you start our 2:26. So you 2:36 is your ending time, completion time. Please start.
Is my screen visible?
Yes. Put in a preview mode, please.
Yeah. Is it clear?
Thank you. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Good afternoon, all. Thank you, IIPS, the organizers, for this wonderful opportunity to share our findings of a small study that we are conducting. It's an ongoing study. As of now, we are presenting only data from Kerala. My co-presenter is Dr. Sumalata from Department of Economics, my same university. And there are two more researchers involved in this work, Professor K.R. Nair and Ms. Vindhya Vijayan. They are from Trivandrum Global Health Institute. So we are going to discuss about the impact of COVID-19 on adolescent health, preliminary evidences from the state of Kerala. So the pandemic, the whole lockdown and subsequent unlocking phases have created a sense of distress and uncertainty, which will have impact on health, mental health, and psychosocial implications. So for the adolescents, though their mortality and morbidity rates or the case infection rate was quite low, they have experienced unprecedented interruptions and restrictions to their day-to-day lives, socialization, and formal education, because the primary strategy used to contain the pandemic is isolation and social distancing. So in India, children and adolescents are staying at home as schools are all closed since March 2020. So it's almost an year that the adolescents and children are at home. So we can consider this section of population as one of the most important group, which might have an indirect impact, secondary impact of pandemic in their lives. In such a protracted isolation, one cannot ignore the likelihood of developing anxiety, fear, boredom, and other mental health issues. So taking the cues from some of the studies that have been conducted in other countries where the pandemic appeared in the beginning of the period, not going to the literature review part because of the time constraint, I'm directly going to the methods and the findings of our work. A total of 216 adolescents participated in this study, and the research followed a cross-sectional quantitative approach. 2 schools in Ernakulam city, one government and one private school, were contacted, and through Parent Teachers Association, a list of parents with Android phones was sought. And through systematic random sampling, 216 participants were selected from this list. The data was collected between 13th October and 13th November of 2020 using an e-questionnaire consisting of 62 items. The selected participants were contacted over the telephone, and after briefing to the parents and getting the written consent of the parents via email, a Google survey document was shared with the adolescent. The participants, that is the adolescent, responded via e-questionnaire with the supervision of parents, and informed consent again was sought at this stage. Ethical permission was sought from our institute, and the data analysis at this preliminary stage is done using descriptive statistics, and only chi-square tests are presented in this presentation. So this is the general findings. Amongst them, 55% were male and 45% females. 41% were in the age group of 18 to 19 years of age, and 38% had a monthly income below 20,000, and the majority of them belong to nuclear families. Going to the findings about the impact of pandemic and lockdown on the routine activities and education and recreation, we can see that 61% of the adolescent gained information through news or channels and videos, whereas only 24% of them had a detailed discussion with parents regarding the COVID-19 pandemic, its impact, how they are staying at home, how this disease is spreading. Majority of their information is from news or channels and videos. 77% of these adolescents attend online classes for more than 3 hours, and 46% spend more than 6 hours altogether on gadgets only for education, and another 3 to 5 hours are added for recreation. So altogether, it is very important to note that 78% of these adolescents spend more than 9 to 12 hours on gadget and internet for just two purposes. One is education, that is online class and their other worksheet and other educational activities, and recreation. So 48% were not engaged in any kind of exercises regularly during this period. Only 23% had some indoor games which had some level of a physical involvement, apart from 14% getting into some yoga kind of exercises. 13% of adolescents only are maintaining some stable routine, that is getting up at a right time, a regular time, attending the classes on a regular basis, following their diet on regular time. Now only 13% of adolescents are following a stable routine. 47% had to buy a new gadget to attend the online class and continue with the formal education. And both indoor and outdoor activities are reduced drastically, where only 23% are indulging in indoor exercises or 6% are into outdoor activities. 60% of the reported people, they are not very regular with the classes or sessions or any other extracurricular activities that they were regularly into. Now, what is the impact of this in physical health, socialization, and mental health? It's very alarming to note that 55% of the adolescents have developed some kind of physical problems, which are mainly eye-related problems, eye pain, sleeplessness, and for girls, irregular menstruation. Majority were physically inactive, and 50% of them have gained more than 4 kilograms of weight between March to October period because of this lethargic way of lifestyle. And to explore the impact of lockdown on adolescent mental health, 10 statements were provided with the option of always, sometimes, and never. This is the impact on mental health. 51% are reporting that they have lost interest in what they were enjoying previously, especially related to the extracurricular activities, socialization, watching TV. And 50% are reporting a very low level of energy. Around 40% have sleep pattern disturbance, which are, and even sometimes this is a very big finding, sleep pattern disturbance. Then another 40% are reporting lethargy and laziness. Then incidents of self-harm and suicidal thoughts are also increasing amongst the respondents. Impact of physical health. Prolonged online classes are reported as the major cause of stress, apart from lack of peer interaction and sharing with them. Then suggestions given by the adolescents to reduce stress is reduction of the syllabus, because online covering the whole syllabus, it is too strenuous and already physical health problems are reported. So they are suggesting for a reduction in the syllabus and indulge more in the physical activities. The adolescents also want psychosocial support during the pandemic. 69% feel that they require it, but they have not received it. The 64% are reporting that no psychosocial help was provided from any of the stakeholders when they are in need. Access to objectionable sites, social networking trends, and sexual abuse has increased. Access to pornography, 50% are reporting that access to pornography has increased. Then access to social media has increased. Experience of any sexual abuse or bullying through internet using during lockdown, because they are on prolonged time with the internet and the electronic gadgets. So the sexual abuse and bullying over the internet, they feel it is increasing, and case studies are reported in this area. Some of the bivariate analysis shows that the significant relationship between certain variables are recorded. I'm not going into much of the details of this. So now coming to the discussions and conclusion, similar findings are reported from studies from across the globe, and Australian studies, UK-based studies, Lithuania-based studies, then Saudi Arabia-based studies. So across the globe, similar findings are reported from studies. United Kingdom, for example, 4,000 UK adolescents found that students from low socioeconomic background are less likely to attend private tuitions during pandemic, and their academic performance is severely affected. COVID-19 has influenced Australian adolescents' physical activities. So similar findings are coming up from across the globe. Not going into much of these details. So conclusions, COVID-19 might not have affected adolescents directly in terms of mortality and number of infected cases. However, it has caused a lot of psychological and mental distress among this age group. Excessive digital dependence among the adolescents has increased during the pandemic. The physical activity is reduced and adolescents are reporting severe physical and mental health issues. The study finding shows that through most of the participants felt the need to have professional psychosocial support during the period, majority did not receive any support. The study portends the need to initiate counseling services for adolescents and parents, apart from starting short training programs for the teachers to limit the negative impacts. There is also a need to organize debriefing sessions for the adolescents during the post-pandemic period once they are back to the school. There is need to have more focused cross-sectional studies with large sample size, and also we should have some cohort studies with longitudinal focus to understand the impact on a long-term basis. That is all as a presentation. These are the references. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lekha, for your on-dot presentation. It's very much on-dot. And we'll go to the third presenter. Is Dr. Bhaskar Tiwari is available?
Yes, sir, I am present.
Yeah.
Sir, from where do I get the screen sharing option? It's not working here.
So screen sharing is not working.
No, it's
You want to
faded.
present orally just like that you want to present?
No, I will like to present my presentation as well.
Mr.
Hello.
Avinash?
Yeah, you please,
Hello. Yes,
e-office
ma'am.
may help.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I can. Yeah. Is my screen visible?
Bhaskar Tiwari is starting. Yeah, it is. It is visible.
Good afternoon to respected Chairperson, Dr. Vishnu sir, discussion Archana ma'am, and all other panelists and participants. At the onset, I would like to thank IIPS Organizing Committee for giving me an opportunity to present my findings.
For interruption, sorry for interruption. You should
Yes.
please end up by 2:48.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. So our paper entitled is Psychosocial Factors Associated with the Nationwide Lockdown in India During COVID-19 Pandemic. Almost a year back, when government of India had announced lockdown, all of our lives had got disrupted in some or the other way. Students who were away from their hometown were stuck. People like migrant laborers, they were stuck in their own city, panicking. They had to travel by road, taking lots of pains. So COVID-19 has been defining the global health crisis and the global economic crisis of the time, and it has proliferated to every continent excluding Antarctica. According to World Health Organization, when this COVID spread started, none of the countries had any preparedness plans, and coronavirus were excessively publicized in the mass media, which led to high levels of stress and anxiety. Those who were living alone currently, not able to meet their parents or family, they might develop mild to moderate depression. Older adults were also at risk of not being able to visit for their routine checkups. And also there were a lot of gaps in the public health programs as well. Routine immunization was disrupted. ANC checkup, which were held through VHSND days, were also disrupted. So during that time, public health policies requires an exceptional equilibrium between protecting the physical as well as psychosocial health. So spatial analysis is crucial in identifying the local occurrences, and as per our knowledge, it has not been previously reported in India, and so we started this paper considering our main aim as to investigate the psychosocial factors associated with COVID-19 and the nationwide lockdown in India, employing spatial analysis. The study design was cross-sectional study. That was the only option of an online survey, which was conducted between 11th April 2020 to 16th of April 2020. Sorry, I have written it here mistake. We had employed snowball sampling, and the links were circulated through electronic media. Analysis was carried out using R console. This study was approved by Institutional Research Board of IIHMR in principle. The primary measure which we were looking was psychosocial impact, which was a composite based on the participant response to the following questions, like, do you get upset by thinking of COVID-19? Do you get panic and overreact to news relating to COVID-19? Were you worried about losses and your job during lockdown? Do you get worried about your family's health? And are you sleeping more than, less than you normally do? Other characteristics which we were included were state, residential area, occupational, education qualification, and also the participants' perception of lockdown, whether they follow it or not, was reviewed using the following 3 questions. Are you following the lockdown measures? For what you step out of house during the lockdown? And do you think lockdown can prevent community spread of COVID-19? We employed quantitative measures, mean, standard deviation for quantitative. For qualitative measures were assessed using frequency and percentage. Few associations were used through Fisher's exact test. The psychosocial impact, which is the PA score, was from 0 to 12 when we had deployed all the questions. Under an assumption that everyone is having an impact, we had categorized as 0 to 5, 6 to 7, and 8 to 12, considering to have a mild, moderate, and severe psychosocial impact respectively. We had received a total of 1316 responses. After cleaning the responses, total data used for analysis was 1310. We had majority of the responses from Karnataka, Delhi, and Uttar Pradesh. The mean age of the respondent was 30 years with plus minus 9 years. Majority, there were less participants from rural population, 28%. Male were the majority participants, 51.7%, and most of the respondents were graduate and above. The psychosocial impact score was 5.7 mean and was assessed for 1310 complete responses. If we see the psychosocial impact with gender, we found that males were moderately depressed and females were severely had psychosocial impact. Among job, we found that salaried people were less disrupted with this psychosocial impact. People those who were having some kind of physical activity were also found to have reported less psychosocial impact on them. And people who were following lockdown, hello? People who were following lockdown always were also mild to moderately depressed. Psychosocial impact with satisfaction of government strategy was 78.5%, and psychosocial impact in people believing lockdown can prevent spread of COVID-19 was 86.8% among mildly psychosocial impact. We had employed Chloropath maps, which describes the figure. It describes people were following lockdown mainly in the northeastern parts of India, Jammu and Kashmir, UP, Bihar, and people were mainly satisfied by the government policies in Assam, UP, Bihar, and also Odisha. And people who believed lockdown can prevent COVID-19 was mainly from Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Assam. This figure presents the geographical distribution of psychosocial measures of worried about loss of job upset due to COVID-19, panic and overreact of news, worried about family health, and sleep as usual. I will discuss about these findings more in our discussion. These figures represent the geographical distribution of states with moderate and severe psychosocial impact. Coming to the discussion, we had found significant association among worrying for the health of family members and supporting lockdown measures has been observed. A study from UK had also similar findings, emphasizing that people are more worried about their family. Moreover, the findings also revealed that 79.41% of the people had a sound knowledge about COVID-19. Literature states that excellent awareness and knowledge among people will help reducing the initial number of cases, making the outbreak easier to control. We also had an important finding that people from the northeastern states, along with Jammu and Kashmir, were stressed and overreacted to the situation. This distress could be because of inequity in healthcare, which defines like lack of facilities in this area. Even if the facilities are present, the distance to the facilities are higher, and there are also lack of human resources compared to the other states of India. What the study adds, controlling the spread of COVID-19 requires a comprehensive strategy, which the Indian government has managed well so far. However, the pandemic seems to affect the masses indirectly by creating a social impact due to the growing concern of their losses, job, health, and family. Moreover, these factors might have a long-term influence on well-being of the community. We had certain limitations, like participation was restricted to people with internet facilities. Demerits of an online survey, like bias in respondent selections, etc., were also limitations to our study. Coming to conclusion, nationwide lockdown measures have been followed in most of the states in India. However, states need to design tailored intervention according to their needed. Government and public health officials should consider the sentiments of community while planning any strategies and before declaring any announcements. Decision makers must produce customized interventions for those affected by staying alone, idle, loss of job, etc. These are the references. I would like to thanks to my co-authors, Nilma ma'am, who is scientist in AIIMS Biostatistics, and other co-authors for allowing me to present our findings. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhaskar. It's excellent presentation and you are on dot. So I'll call upon the next speaker if he is available. She is available, Nisha B. Is she available, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Please go
Sir,
ahead.
I cannot share my screen, sir.
Yeah. Nisha, you should complete by 2:59.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, one and all. Myself, Dr. Nisha from Savita Medical College, Tamil Nadu. I'll be presenting on COVID-19 lockdown obligatory and an exploration of public's perspective in suburban region of northern Tamil Nadu. So, for the introduction, this world is confronting the sought after coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic causing the thousands of deaths every day. So, WHO declared a pandemic on March 11th and 2020. So, our country followed with nationwide obligatory lockdown from 24th March, led to the socio-economic crisis and mental stress among general people. Not only that, it also ended up in healthcare and political system faced a new kind of calamity with insufficient and medical facilities and also the infrastructure which we have. More than 80% of the people were preoccupied with the thoughts of getting infected and also losing the near ones, which actually dreaded among the people. And lockdown hit hard for the daily wages and low middle income people who lost their jobs and also their income sources, and also they had to face a lot of salary cuts or pay cuts. The aim of my study is to assess the COVID-19 related human stress and its association with other relevant factors affecting quality of life in the country. And also to go for the specific objectives, I have two. That is, one is that to explore the people's perception on psychosocial issues, and not only that, with the socioeconomic impact and the health system and the political measures to combat this disease, and also impending environmental crisis due to this obligatory lockdown. And also to delineate the association of demographic variables with this higher risk perception towards COVID-19. So while going to the methodology part, this is a community-based cross-sectional study conducted over phone in the urban field practice area of the Tertiary Medical College Hospital in suburban region. And it was during the lockdown period of 23rd March to 7th May 2020. This phone-based survey was chosen because as a result of nationwide lockdown, other conventional methods such as personal interviews and home visits were restricted. So the online and web-based surveys was possible, but due to the literature breach and also the internet coverage issues, we had to take up this phone coverage. The sample size and sampling method was, we targeted responses from this adults more than 18 years of all age groups of socioeconomic backgrounds and also the education levels. The required sample size was calculated based on the hypothesis that 50% of the respondents would have better perception on COVID-19 with 95% CI, and the total sample was around 479, and it was necessary. So we used multi-stage random sampling with 2 stages. That is, the first stage was selection of wards. There are 15 wards listed under our field practice area. Among this, 5 wards were chosen using the simple random sampling method with lottery method with replacement. The second stage was selection of study participants. That is, updated and comprehensive demographic details of the households are present in our family register, which we maintain by using the simple random sampling by computer generated random numbers without replacement. To ensure equal participation, representation, participants from each ward and probability proportional to sample size was applied. So we arrived at a sample size of 480. The inclusion criteria was adult population, age above 18 years, residing in the urban field practice area for at least a year. The exclusion was critically ill patients, mentally challenged persons, and migrant workers. The study tool which we used is to find out the psychosocial, socioeconomic, and environmental impact. We prepared a pre-tested semi-structured questionnaire adopted from the study conducted in Bangladesh and modified according to our population and healthcare and political system. This perception-based questionnaire contained 4 subscales, including socio-demographic details and also mental health issues. You can see in this 4 domains, that is mental health issues, it contains 16 items, and socio-economic issues, it contained 11, and healthcare and political issues, it contained 13, and impending environmental issues, 10. So the maximum score was around 50 marks, and this number of factors in the questionnaire were initially around 75, and it was reduced using this principal component analysis method, and wherein we use this after applying the Kaiser-Mayen-Olkin to endorse the obligation of this test, and also only the factors with eigenvalues more than 1 we used for this study finally. And also the scoring pattern included 3 Likert point scale, that is disagree, neutral, and agree. And each correct answer was awarded 1 mark, and consequently the total marks were 50 marks. The data collection and this questionnaire, it underwent 3 stages of validation. That is, the first stage was phase validation. Phase and content validation by individual experts and conceptual mistakes were revised. And the next one was internal consistency reliability by using Cronbach's alpha, and it was 0.7, which was very good. Then we did a pilot testing with 20 participants, and these participants were not included in the final analysis. The data collection, after obtaining approval from the ethical committee, the data collection was carried out over phone and with oral consent. That is 480 phone numbers we had. That was a sampling frame. We deployed 15 interviewers, received training on phone survey methods, and clarified with standardized response. Each phone number was called at least 3 times in the working days on weekdays before excluding them from the study. Each survey appropriated for around 20 minutes to complete, and the data was summarized in the Microsoft Excel, and it was analyzed using SPSS software. The data normalization was checked using this Smirnov's test was used to check the data normalization, and the qualitative variables were described as frequencies and percentages, and the quantitative variables were summarized as mean and standard deviations. The first order analysis such as independent t-test was performed to evaluate the association of dependent and independent variables, and multivariate linear regression model was used to assess the determinants of COVID-19's lockdown related psychological impact. When we move on to the results, a total of 480 dialed numbers were there, and only 420 respondents to the survey were responded with a response rate of 87.5%, and we included only 400 for the total analysis because rest of them did not give the valid response. So the mean age of the respondents were 34.59 with a standard deviation, and the male participants were predominantly 66.2%, and the females were the 33.4%, 7%. So when you see the first table, it shows the descriptive statistics of each subscale of the perception scores. That is the total score in each thing, and it shows, next column shows the observed mean score. And when you see the mean score and the total score, there's a lot of difference between these two, showing that people were undergoing lot of difficulties in the mental health and also the social economic issues. When seeing this figure, the impact of COVID-19's obligatory lockdown on people's perception, when you see mental health issues, 96.7% of them were suffering with the mental health issues, and socio-economic issues, 93.9%, and only 18% of them firmly believe that this political and healthcare system can combat this pandemic, and also 36.7% assessed or said that there would be an environmental issues or impending environmental issues like dengue outbreak or floods or cyclones would occur due to this lockdown. When you see this table, it shows the association of independent variables with perception scores using the t-test. When you see gender, education and occupation, education that is more than 7 years of schooling, and gender like male gender, and occupation that is unskilled and unemployed, are most of them having a statistically significant relationship with most of the domains like mental health and socio-economic and political system issues, and also the impending issues. When you see the column wise, the impending environmental issues were said only with occupation persons. But when seeing the total score, when you see that occupation and annual income less than 2.5 are statistically significant with this score. When we move into the next table, it shows a multiple linear regression analysis. So it clearly shows that age was associated with the mental health issues. As the age increases, the mental health issues also were increasing. And also we're seeing the gender, socio-economic issues, males were more affected, and the political and health issues, they did not have a firm belief, and also the impending health issues were said by them. And also the total score, you can see the gender and the occupation that is unskilled and unemployed, and also the annual income less than 2.5 lakhs were statistically significant with the total score which we are at. As for the discussion part, considering this population density, educational status, social health structure, healthcare capacity, and often flawed policies taken by the government, it is hard to lock down a country with 1.21 billion people. So similarly, most of them, like 85% of the participants, were in COVID-19 related mental health stress in developing countries like India, and the same similar type of findings were also present in most of the countries and most of the studies which is conducted across many countries around this globe. And in studies conducted in developing countries, developed countries also found that 17.1 to 25.9% had socioeconomic impact when compared to the developing countries. In aspect of environmental issues, COVID-19 and dengue altogether is a deadly combination. So as both diseases share a common symptoms. So this was also present in many Bangladesh studies and also in many Sri Lankan studies. So radiant public health system and social capital and active involvement of people through local governments needed to combat this pandemic. And as for the limitations thing, we used, the study interviewed only the 400 respondents from the single part of the country. Hence, generalizing the results would be not reasonable, and therefore conducting similar studies, including multi-centers, would be beneficial to make appropriate policies and also decisions. When you're coming to the recommendations, like good governance was suggested to reduce this mental and social stress causing economic crisis of COVID-19. And also recommended strategic plans could be ensuring basic supplies to all the citizens who are in real needs, motivate and also force other people to abide by the COVID-19 guidelines by the GOI is must necessary. And robust list of vulnerable population in terms of COVID-19 spreading, comorbidities and also economic stress should be prepared before it will give the authority for lockdown, and also local wings like village level should be activated. And also we should construct a COVID-19 response task force to monitor and also to handle the country situation through application of information and communication technologies and etc. In concluding, this study brought out a large or huge psychosocial, socio-economic sufferings of general population during the uncertain lockdown period without ensuring the fundamental human needs, and weak governance and communication, infrastructure and healthcare facilities leads to the anxiety and fear in the human minds. And these are my references. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation and on dot. I think
Thank you, sir.
we are coming to the last presenter. Farooq Shahji, is he available? Farooq?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I'm there.
Okay. Farooq and Jitinder Beer Singh. Who
No,
is
sir.
presenting,
No,
please?
sir.
Who is presenting, please?
Sir, it's Anandi Shukla.
Anandi Shukla. Okay.
Morning, one and all. I am Anandi Shukla, along with my co-author, Mr. Balram Rai. I'm going to present.
You please take time till 3:12.
Okay, sweet you. Okay. So I'm going to
Please go ahead,
present on
please.
the prevalence of mental health issues during the COVID-19 pandemic, a systematic review and meta-analysis. 31st December, the outbreak of pneumonia cases of unknown etiology occurred in Wuhan. With the alarming levels of spread and severity, WHO declared the outbreak as a pandemic on 11th March. In situations like COVID-19 and other infectious diseases, it was found that they are followed by the various psychological distress and other symptoms of mental illness and are the major setback for mental health front. The psychological implications can be more prevalent than infection itself because the whole population is at the risk of the psychological implications, and they may even remain after the recovery of the patient. If someone has suffered from COVID, and after that also they might be having certain type of psychological implications or mental illness with them. The COVID-19 itself is associated with the neurological and mental complications such as agitation, depression, anxiety, loss of taste and smell. The pandemic has influenced the social life of individual, affecting the modes of communication and even the frequency of the communication. With pandemic constraint, people found it harder to convey their feelings and were not able to use proper mental health care facilities also. The WHO has identified mental health as an integral component in COVID-19 response because it is also there in the universal health coverage, and it is very crucial for the overall recovery of an individual, community, and even the countries after the emergencies. There is a huge social stigma and discrimination attached to the COVID-19, as we all know, and it affects the mental health of a patient. As the sir has also said, that people are not referred that they are suffering from COVID-19. They are referred as the COVID-19 cases or just the COVID-19 families. So basically, I'm going to cover the three major things, that is depression, anxiety, and stress. The depression in psychology is basically a mood or emotional state that is marked by the feeling of low self-esteem and reduced ability to enjoy life. The symptoms can be hopelessness, sadness, decrease in the decrease or loss of ability to take pleasure in the ordinary activities. The anxiety is basically defined by the American Psychological Association as an emotion characterized by the feeling of tension, worried thoughts, and physical changes like increased blood pressure and all. The people usually try to avoid certain situations when they are suffering from anxiety, and they have a recurring thought process and concern again and again. For the stress, it can be defined as the feeling or degree to which a person is feel overwhelmed and unable to cope as a result of pressure that is unmanageable. The stages of COVID-19 pandemic explained by the Kabir model of stages of grief. Here we can see that the initial stage, that is when the cases are very less or the local transmission was started, the people have just denial or anger in them. But as the transmission uh, spreads, the community transmission is there, the people started to feel bargaining or depression. They started to feel that, what should we do? We are like hopeless or helpless. When the as the stages of pandemic moves on, there is a kind of increase or agitation in mental health problems. The people who are like vulnerable or have other sort of pre-existing mental health condition, they might feel these certain symptoms at a greater magnitude and even at a earlier stage. We have performed a meta-analysis. We have searched the data from the major research databases, including Google Scholar, Scopus, PubMed, etc. We have used the combination of keywords such as coronavirus, COVID-19, mental health problems, anxiety, social anxiety, emotional depression, depressive symptoms, etc. We have also performed the manual search by checking the reference list of the articles found in the search to avoid the omission of any eligible or important study. There was no time restriction, and we have taken studies up to November 2020. The inclusion criteria and the exclusion criteria was a study that we have only taken the observational study design, which have assessed the journal population with the prevalence of depression, anxiety, or stress in pandemic, and it has a risk factors associated to it. And we have taken studies with the utilized that have utilized standard and validator scale for the measurement for these factors. Exclusion criteria was the studies that are not in English, case reports, and the full text was not available. So in my study, I have analyzed the study to Prisma model. And at the initial stage, we have 185 studies. After duplication removal and screening of the abstract and the full text, we have accessed 37 articles with the full text. And after a few of them have removed, and we have taken only 25 studies for the qualitative synthesis, and for the quantitative studies, we have taken 21 studies. The data extracted from the studies is article assessment method, type of study, prevalence of depression, anxiety, and stress. The statistical analysis is performed using the Strata software. The pooled effect size was calculated using random effect models. The heterogeneity between the studies were examined by Higgins and Thompson's I-squared statistics and tau square. The bias introduced in the meta-analysis by small study effects were tested by Eggers and Beck's test at the 5% level of significance. The forest plot and the funnel plots are plotted to testify the publication bias in the study. So these are the results. The study characteristics in aggregate, we have included 21 studies, and the sample size, the sum of the total sample size was around 60,000. The 21 studies conducted in 13 different countries like China, Spain, Iraq, India, UK. One study was there from Nigeria also. The primary chosen outcome varied from different to different studies. The depression prevalence varied from 11 to 53%. The anxiety varied from 6 to 50%. And for stress, it was found to be varying from 11% to 37%. 15 studies were there in the depression symptoms. We have included 15 studies, while 18 studies included in the measure of anxiety. 12 studies were taken, have given the measure of stress and post-traumatic stress. The total number of participants included were in depression, anxiety, and stress were 45,000, 58,000, and 16,000 respectively. The measurement tool used to analyze the studies were depression, anxiety, and stress scale. DAS scale is there, other than PHQ scale. The SDS scale, CSD scale has been used. So DAS scale is basically a 4-item scale, which have like 42 items in it, and it has a very high reliability. And this CESD scale, the Center of Epidemiological Study scale, it has 20 items in it, and its score can vary from 0 to 60. And the higher the score, the higher is the prevalence of depression in the participants. The symptoms of depression and the associated risk factors found in the systematic analysis, the females are found to be more likely to have depressive symptoms as compared to their male counterparts. The people in the younger age group have the higher prevalence of depressive symptom, but there are few studies which have shown that less than 45 age group of people have a higher number of depressive symptoms. There are 2 studies which have shown that there is no significant difference in the depressive symptoms from people living in the red zone or the people in the low prevalence region. That is, whether you are living in a high prevalence state or a low prevalence, it doesn't matter. It has a very minute difference. The lower education level and the lack of awareness about the COVID-19 is found to be associated with more depressive symptoms. Students' status was found to be significant risk factor for developing more depressive symptoms as compared to the other occupational statuses. Other predictive factors for symptoms were found to be exposure of COVID-19 related news, higher perceived vulnerability, the presence of chronic disease, the person living in the urban area, the single status, or the person who ever divorced. There is also factors such as the person, if someone is infected in the family, if the person is unemployed and not having a child in the home. These are the factors, predictive factors we have found in these studies. The symptoms for anxiety and associated risk factors. The anxiety and depression are sometimes coexisting, and hence some of the predictive factors for anxiety are like depression. In one study, we found that the pre-existing comorbidity have lesser anxiety than people completely healthy. But in other studies, it was like if there is comorbidity, the people are found to be more anxious. Single and never married people have higher anxiety as compared to the married people. There was a positive association between the social media exposure and the follow-up of COVID-19 news and the anxiety symptoms. The people who try to usually follow the news, like every day you go and check how many cases are there, what is the news scenario, they are more anxious as compared to the people who don't like usually very pretentiously follow the COVID-19 news. The social media has a huge impact on the anxiety of people. The stress and associated risk factors here is that not only the people are not only stressed at the personal level, as that the public factors also compromise to it. People who found government policies to be inconsistent with the scientific evidence were more likely to be stressed. Lower income level, the economic stress is there. The females and the younger are more stressed. Other predictive factors for stress is student status, higher number of lockdown days. As the number, like in the initial stage, everyone thought it's going to be like for 10 days or 20 days. But as the number of lockdown days increases, the stress level of people started increasing, the unemployment, and they can't get out, they can't go out. If someone is in their acquaintances infected with the virus, they have a high stress level. In addition to associated risk factors, there are few factors that protect individuals from the symptoms of psychological illness during the pandemic. It was found that if you have a pet or a child at home, it can reduce your stress level. Timely dissemination of updated and accurate COVID-19 related health information from authorities were found to be associated with lower level of anxiety, stress, and depressive symptoms. And the person who follow the precautionary measure are found to be less stressed. For the meta-analysis part, the forest plot of depression, which provide the effect size of individual studies with a pooled estimate. The pooled estimate for depression is found to be around 32.88% with a 95% confidence interval from a random effect model. This is a funnel plot. The reason for choosing the random effect model for the presence of considerable heterogeneity among the studies. The funnel plot also suggests that the absence of any publication bias among the selected studies. This is the forest plot of anxiety, and the pooled estimate for anxiety is found to be around 31.50% in the pooled estimate. The funnel plot of anxiety, there is no publication bias according to funnel plot. Then there is a forest plot for the stress. Here we can see that around 22.85% the pool estimate has come up to this with the 95% confidence interval from the random effect model. This is the funnel plot for stress. The summary statistics for meta-analysis, the heterogeneity is found to be very high for all the three: depression, anxiety, and stress. The Eggers and the Beck test have shown that there was no small study effect, as the p-value indicates the acceptance of the null hypothesis. That is, there is no small study effect. For conclusion, due to the pandemic, many people are facing challenges, the overwhelming feelings, and they can lead to the various strong emotions. The COVID-19 era generated a huge surge in the mental health issues, although before the pandemic, there is also mental health issues, but this has been a trigger point to people, including suicides. Even like we have seen so many news regarding the suicides, the prevalence of suicides are rising. The concern about the scarcity of the supplies, economic stress, government policies, financial losses have also caused damage to people's mental health and well-being. The uncertainty related to the COVID-19 transmission, its mortality rate, the medication, the near future, what is going to happen, we all have faced the situation, was very high during the pandemic. Fake news and rumors had made people more anxious and stressed, and social media has just added something more to the plate. Measures that are meant to contain the pandemic, such as quarantine, social distancing, lockdown, etc., may contain the risk factors, although they were protective measures for us, but they have impacted the people lives in more than one way. There can be a cultural effect, like the limitation of study. The different countries have different cultural practices, different other things that can be a limitation to the study. So what we can do further is that more focused, like many, including India, the country, the people, the government is having many mental health support programs, etc. And it's need that high risk people should pay more, pay more attention towards the thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Shukla ji. Very nice presentation. And now I think we are on dot and we have completed on time. Now the floor is open for discussion, and now I request Professor Archana ji to take over and conduct the proceedings.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I'd just like to brief. In this session, we had 5 papers, and all the papers are very interesting. The first paper was on the impact of COVID on basically the nurses in Kerala and Maharashtra. It was a comparative study. Overall, we find that out of these 5 papers, 4 were on the data collected directly from the respondents. So it was a primary data, while the last one was on the content analysis, the secondary data. They have studied certain papers. We have also seen that here the certain issues like some of these studies have suggested some measures which are very general, which are not very particular. So I'd like to just go one by one quickly. Yeah. So in the first paper, what we see that it's quite done in a quite scientific way. Here we have one concern that here the 2 group of people were there. The control group, we can say, the nurses who are not involved in COVID care. So we don't know what is the characteristic of those nurses. How do we compare them? Then second is that the women, nurses from Maharashtra, they suffer more of the stress and psychological problem. What could be the reason? Whether the Maharashtra government or what was the social milieu that actually nurses, they face more stress? That is not answered. The next is that it has been found that those who are living with the family, they were more under stress. So whether it was a worry about the family which made them stressful, or the family was not supportive, or what was the reason? So certain things need to be explored more and should be answered in the paper, we hope. The second one paper was on the okay. The next paper was on the COVID impact on the adolescent, and here also the Kerala was taken as a case. And we find that the adolescent who are in 18 to 19 age group, particularly taken from two schools, I think. Here the children were facing problem, and it's not only the children of Kerala, but also the worldwide phenomena. Like children were most affected as they were isolated, locked inside the house, and they had to spend more time with their gadgets and all. So it has a very negative impact on them. So they have very nicely, they have found that yes, there are issues, and unfortunately now this is going to continue for some more time. So these children, that what this study suggests, that the children should be given some care, counseling. They are very essential, and then talk with the parents, discussion with children. These are teachers. These are the very important measures that should be taken instantly, because the children are suffering and they are, away from their regular routine. Then next was on the psychosocial factors that associated with the nationwide lockdown during COVID. And here, this study was conducted on between 1 week in April. It was just instantly after the lockdown. So I don't know how much you are able to see the impact of lockdown, because the lockdown was still on and we had just spent 15 days. So it was like quite a panic situation in the country. So I don't know. And then you have generalized many things. You have shown maps with with say 1,000 samples, something like 1,300 or something. So with such a small sample, you have generalized for the states. That is really when we have to think about it. Can we do that rather than just taking the sample and then saying, rather than saying the Bihar, UP, and Kerala, Tamil Nadu, they have less or more problems. So I think we should not do the generalization. Next paper was on the lockdown obligatory explanation from the public. Yeah, here the sub-regions of northern Tamil Nadu. Here it's not clear what the authors mean to say, like suburban regions means of which cities actually. What is based on only one city or several cities? It's not clear at all. So if it is a one city, it should be mentioned like that. It should not be generalized again. Here the sample was around 500 and they found that, yeah, the certain aspects of mental health, socioeconomic effect, and then environmental issues, and then healthcare and political concerns they have discussed, like so quality of life. But I think that still in this study, the very clear-cut definition of quality of life was missing, and probably we could not correlate either. I mean, if you're saying quality of life, it should be defined properly, or if we are not defined, then we should mention in context of certain aspects only. And here the study concludes that the village level, there's some conclusion and also in advice, in suggestion that they have mentioned about the village level preparation and all. So when the study is based on the urban area, I think our conclusion should also go for the urban area only. It was a quite general conclusion, I must say. The last paper was very interesting and based on the meta-analysis of some selected papers. And they have very nicely found that how the things are globally, who are affected and how they are affected. And the results are very clear that, yes, there are certain groups. Again, the family emerges, that those who are single, those who are without any, I mean, single or unmarried, they face more problem. Female may face more problem. Younger children face more problem. Students face more problems. So this kind of things are coming here. So all the papers were very nice. And with this, I hope there will be some question from the floor. So now it's open. We can ask the questions. I hope, I mean, everybody is there. So you can unmute yourself and then ask the question. Sir?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, so we can proceed.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am, for your elaborate discussion and reviewing the papers. Any questions from the audience? Do you like? Hello? And I have one or two questions. I'll start with the number 5, Anandi Shukla. Am I audible to you all, please? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, your systematic analysis shows that either in the forest plot, they are very apart. And that means that there is no much significance in terms of the pooled effect, either in the forest plot or in the funnel plot. Funnel plot, they are almost the heterogeneity of the papers are very huge. So under those circumstances, can you conclude that this study has an effect?
Yes, sir. That's why the huge heterogeneity was there. That's why we have used the random effect model to analyze the model.
Yeah, random effect model does not guarantee you the removing of the heterogeneity. You have to do some other, because of the heterogeneity is very huge. Maybe if we calculate in terms of I square, it must be around 90%. Under those circumstances, though you use the random effect model, it will not guarantee removal of the heterogeneity. You have to do some other meta regression, identify the covariates and meta covariate analysis to remove them. Probably that's but anyhow, it is a good attempt, and your search methods and all extraordinarily done. And you please look into that for our future studies.
Yes,
and
sir.
I have another question with Nisha. What are the challenges you have faced doing the telephone surveys?
Sir, actually, people were not responding at first instance. We had to explain them twice or thrice. And then,
exactly.
and we already have a rapport with them because we have a urban health center functioning in that area. So there's some of them just ignored and some of them accepted. So that is why when we had a sample size of calculation of 480, but we could only get response from 400, sir. In spite of
Okay,
trying.
fine. Yeah, this is understandable. It's very difficult. Even NIMS is conducting 2-3 telephonic surveys. It is really difficult to get them online and get the information because they are very suspicious for many things.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. And
Thank
Dr.
you, sir.
Jitendra, your study is which study is that which you have presented? Dr. Jitendra Yadav, is he there? Dr. Jitendra? I think he has left. Is he there, ma'am? And also I request and I invite any questions from the participants and professors are also viewing this. Anyone can please ask a question so that we have some more 5 to 7 minutes time to complete.
Yeah,
Okay.
may I ask a question? This is Shireen Jijiboy. Very interesting papers, but a lot of them seem to be using
Be louder,
data.
ma'am.
Sorry, a lot of the presenters are using, at least presenting their data, which are not gender disaggregated. And we know that males and females are experiencing the pandemic in very different ways. So could they shed some light on the gender disparities in their findings? And on the last one, I found that very interesting. I'm going to be presenting tomorrow. I would be really grateful to see your list of references. Sorry, is that Anandi, I think. So thanks a lot.
Thank you. Any more questions, please? Any more questions from the participants or audience? Professor Unisa is also there. So overall, I found the presentations are very good, and mostly all are youngsters, and they have presented on varied topics, right from adolescent growth and lockdown to the systematic review and meta-analysis. And the presentations they presented very well, and they are also on dot presentation. If there are no questions from the audience and either from my discussant, I think we can close this session. If are there any questions, please?
Yeah, can't they answer my question?
Yeah, please, sorry. Your question is directed to whom, ma'am?
My question is to whoever has presented undisaggregated data.
Yeah.
But I've already spoken to Lekha offline, and I know her answer. But for others, Jitendra and others, I think.
So whoever are concerned, please reply to ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. I will send you the reference list if that would be helpful to you. I'll
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Anandi Shukla, I have also a suggestion to you. You just attempt a meta-regression as well as meta-covariate analysis.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any more?
Hello.
Ma'am, Professor Archana, ma'am, I don't think there are any.
Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Ma'am is there.
Yeah, I like to thank Dr. Vishnu for joining this session, because the last minute he's not in his town and he's in his, what I should say, he lost recently his mother, but he is so dare enough that he agreed and also actively participated in this session. So I like to thank on my behalf as well as on organizers' behalf. Thank you, Dr. Vishnu.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much. I enjoyed that session.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Rashmi?
Unisa. Professor Unisa ji, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Archana ji.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Vishnu.
Not only Vishnu, all the chairperson, rapporteurs, everybody, thank you very much for this session.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.